There are nights in life that feel darker than the sky above. Nights where silence grows so heavy it presses against your chest, and you wonder if you'll ever breathe fully again. For Daniel, one quiet evening in a small town in Ohio became that night, the night he almost gave up. But little did he know, that very night, life had a different answer waiting for him. Daniel was 31. To the outside world, he looked like just another man trying to piece his life together. But inside, he carried the weight of countless failures. He had tried starting businesses that never took off. He had worked jobs that drained him and left him feeling invisible. He had relationships that ended before they ever became steady. He watched his friends buy houses, get married, start families, while he was still trying to afford next month's rent. There was a heaviness that followed him everywhere. A quiet voice inside whispering, "You're not enough. Maybe you'll never be enough." That night, sitting in his dimly lit apartment, Daniel stared at the cracked ceiling and thought about how tired he was, not just physically, but tired of trying. Tired of waking up every morning with hope, only to have it crumble by nightfall. Tired of believing in himself, only to be proven wrong by life. His savings were gone. His phone had more rejection emails than messages from friends, and his heart felt like it had no fight left. He leaned back, whispering to himself, "Maybe it's time to let go. Maybe I'm not meant to make it." And yet, just as that thought crossed his mind, something unexpected happened. A memory came back. It was the sound of his mother's voice years ago when he was a child. Sitting at the kitchen table after a bad day at school, she had cupped his face in her hands and said softly, "Daniel, life has a way of answering when you think it's silent, but you have to hold on long enough to hear the reply." The words rang in his ears as if she were standing right there beside him. He shook his head, almost frustrated. "But I've held on long enough, Mom, haven't I?" he whispered into the emptiness of his apartment. But something inside him shifted. Instead of collapsing into defeat, he decided just one more time to step outside. He didn't know why. Maybe it was restlessness, maybe it was desperation, or maybe it was that quiet echo of his mother's faith. But he put on his worn-out sneakers and stepped into the night. The streets were quiet, washed in the soft glow of streetlights. He walked aimlessly, with no destination, until he found himself at the small park he used to visit years ago. There, sitting on a cold bench, he finally let himself break. Tears slid down his face, and he whispered into the night sky, "God, if there's a reason for me to keep going, show me, because I can't see it anymore." And then, as if on cue, he heard footsteps. He looked up and saw an older man struggling with grocery bags. Without thinking, Daniel stood up and offered help. The man smiled gratefully, and together they walked the short distance to his apartment building. It was nothing, really just a few bags carried up a flight of stairs. But when the man set them down, he looked at Daniel with kind, tired eyes and said, "You have no idea how much I needed help tonight. I was praying someone would show up." And then, there you were. Those words sank deep. Daniel realized that in the very moment he was asking life for a reason to keep going, life had given him one. He hadn't found money, or success, or recognition, but he had found purpose, even if just for a moment, 10 being someone else's answer. He walked home slowly, but this time, something felt lighter. He thought, maybe I don't need to have it all figured out tonight. Maybe it's enough to know that I mattered to someone, somehow. The following morning, he woke up with a different energy. He didn't suddenly have everything fixed. His bills were still there. His inbox was still filled with rejections, and his life wasn't magically transformed. But something inside him had shifted. He decided that instead of waiting for big answers, he would start with small ones. So he began volunteering at the local food pantry twice a week. He still applied for jobs, but instead of measuring his worth by the responses, he measured it by the lives he could touch while waiting. Slowly, he built new friendships. Slowly, his heart stopped echoing with loneliness. Months passed. One day, while helping at the pantry, he met a man who worked at a community center. That man noticed Daniel's way with people, his patience, his kindness, and offered him a position. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't high-paying, but it was steady and it was meaningful. Daniel took it, and for the first time in years, he felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. His life didn't change overnight, but step by step, moment by moment, he was rebuilding not with the pressure of having to make it, but with the quiet strength of simply choosing not to give up. And then one evening, months later, Daniel returned to that same park bench where he had once broken down. He sat there, watching the night sky, remembering that painful night, the night he thought he was done. He smiled faintly and whispered to the stars, "Thank you for answering." That night taught him something life-changing. Sometimes the answers don't come in the way we expect. Sometimes they don't come as success or recognition or applause. Sometimes life answers us through small moments, through strangers, through kindness, through reminders that we matter. And so, dear listener, maybe you've had nights like Daniel's. Maybe you felt the weight of failure pressing against your chest. Maybe you've whispered into the darkness, asking for a reason to keep going. If you have, let this story remind you, life does answer, but it whispers, not shouts. And to hear it, you have to hold on just a little longer. The night Daniel almost gave up, life answered him. And perhaps the night you almost give up will be the very night life answers you too. So don't let go. Don't believe the lie that you don't matter. You do more than you'll ever know. And maybe just, maybe someone, somewhere, is waiting for you to be the answer they've been praying for. Because in the end, the story isn't about how quickly you succeed. It's about how deeply you live. It's about choosing to stay, to breathe, to try again so that one night, when life finally whispers back, you'll be there to hear it.